Alright, let's talk about the WNBA's worst kept secret. The league has been so desperate to find the next Caitlin Clark that they basically shoved Paige Bueckers onto a rocket ship of hype and hit launch. The problem is, rockets either soar or explode on live TV. And what we just saw? Let's just say Elon Musk isn't the only one with crash landings this year. Caitlin Clark's been sitting out with injury, but her shadow still covers the entire league. And then Paige got handed her first real taste of Clark-style pressure, and the meltdown that followed was so bad, even ESPN had to quietly pretend they never ran those better than Clark headlines. So buckle up, because we're breaking down how the hype train derailed, why Seattle turned Paige into a cautionary tale, and what it really means to face the Clark treatment. Caitlin Clark just missed her 19th straight game with a groin injury and confirmed she's done for the season.
In an update, the Indiana Fever say there is no timetable for Caitlin Clark returning.
But somehow, she's still the only name the league can't stop talking about. And here's where it gets hilarious. Because the WNBA's big plan to roll out the next Caitlin Clark just collapsed on national TV harder than my March Madness bracket in the first round. Once you get the Clark treatment, your life changes forever. Gone are the days of open looks and light defense. It's constant traps, cheap fouls, and opponents studying your game like it's the SATs. The WNBA was desperate to find another Clark, and they thought they had her in Paige Bueckers. Spoiler alert, Seattle had other ideas. They rolled out 2 actual defensive schemes, and Paige's game went flatter than soda left in the sun. 2 for 11 shooting, 0 assists, and more turnovers than a bakery at Thanksgiving. The media couldn't resist. Paige Bueckers had one 44-point night, and suddenly ESPN acted like they'd discovered basketball's cure for boredom. Talking heads were saying she was more polished than Clark, pro-ready from day one, and even said she had the better fundamentals. Better than Clark? That's like saying a flip phone is better than an iPhone because it has a longer battery life. Cute, but let's be serious. Seattle didn't just roll out defense. They rolled out receipts. They watched tape, circled weaknesses, and went after Paige like she was the answer key to the final exam. And when the lights hit, she went 2 for 11, 0 assists, and disappeared so badly on offense, the cameraman probably thought she'd left the arena early to beat traffic. Here's the comedy in it. The very same week the networks were building statues in her honor, she put up a stat line that looked like something you'd see at your local YMCA scoreboard. Minus the free pizza afterward. That's how fast the hype train turned into a derailment. Veterans like Diana Taurasi weren't shocked either. She practically called this months ago, warning that hype without battle scars doesn't survive in the W. And she was right. You can be crowned the next Caitlin Clark on Monday and be benched by the fourth quarter on Friday. That's the WNBA for you. No shortcuts, no media passes, just reality. Stats are the ultimate catfish. They look incredible on paper, then you meet them in person and realize you've been lied to. Paige Bueckers hitting 200 points and 50 assists faster than anyone else? Sounds like a fairy tale. ESPN practically threw a parade. But here's the thing. Beating Caitlin Clark's pace by 1 game doesn't make you Clark. It makes you the kid who finishes their homework 1 minute faster but still gets half the answers wrong. Seattle exposed that in real time. Numbers can tell you what happened. They don't tell you how it happened. Sure, Paige racked up buckets and assists early, but most of those came against teams giving her rookie grace, not Clark-level hostility. The first night a defense circled her name in red ink and actually game planned to shut her down? Boom. The fastest to 200 turned into fastest to look lost. That's why veterans rolled their eyes at the hype. They know the league doesn't hand out gold stars for cute milestones. They measure greatness by what you do when your jersey is basically a dartboard for defenders. And when you stack up Paige's shiny stat against Clark's daily reality, flagrant fouls, double teams, borderline WWE chokeholds, the whole comparison looks ridiculous. So, yeah, numbers don't lie, but without context, they might as well be Tinder pics with perfect lighting and a heavy filter. In Seattle, they swiped left real quick. Here's the thing people keep missing. Pressure isn't about what you do on your best night, it's about what you do on your worst. Paige Bueckers had 1 bad game under real pressure, and it looked like she forgot the Wi-Fi password to basketball. Caitlin Clark? She's been living in a pressure cooker for over a year. double teams, elbows, cheap shots, whole scouting reports written like crime scene investigations, and she's still dropping near 20 points a night. Think about it. Clark has taken 17% of the league's flagrant fouls. One player out of the entire WNBA. That's not basketball. That's an episode of Jackass with referees. She gets shoved, hacked, and outright targeted. And her response isn't to vanish, it's to keep breaking records.
Making day, her second assist of the game, bringing her season total to 225, which is now the most for a rookie ever. It breaks the record by Tisha Penicheiro, which was set in 1998.
She's basically doing nightly masterclasses while half the league is trying to turn her into a WWE stunt double. Meanwhile, Paige finally gets the Clark treatment for one night and the whole engine shuts down. She wasn't just missing shots, she looked like someone unplugged her controller. Ball screens? Broken. Passing lanes? Gone. Confidence? Left the building. It wasn't the storm exposing her talent, it was the storm exposing her readiness. That's the difference. Clark is battle-tested. Paige is just battle-invited. One has already shown she can carry a franchise under assault. The other just found out how heavy that crown really is. Here's where things get messy. Paige isn't just playing basketball. She's basically running daycare for the Dallas Wings. 8 of their 12 players have missed serious time this season. That's not a rotation. That's a game of musical chairs where half the chairs are broken. So yeah, Paige has had to shoulder a scoring load most rookies would never dream of. And credit where it's due, she's kept them competitive some nights. But let's be real, when your team's playoff hopes flatlined months ago, the spotlight shifts. Suddenly, every basket looks less like team success and more like Instagram highlight. She's chasing milestones because the scoreboard isn't giving her much else to chase. It's like showing up to a pickup game, losing by 40, and bragging that you were the first guy to hit double digits. Technically true, but nobody's impressed. That's the difference with Caitlin. Clark is dragging the Indiana Fever through wars that actually matter. Every game feels like the Super Bowl with how teams are scheming against her. Paige? She's putting up 18.9 points on a team that's already booking summer vacations. Big stats, small stakes. And in the WNBA, stakes are what separate the stars from the stat padders. The irony? Her nickname is Paige Buckets. But buckets don't mean much when your team's season is already in one. Stat comparison. Clark, 19.2 points per game, 8.4 assists per game, and 5.7 rebounds per game. Bueckers, 18.9 points per game, 5.3 assists per game, and 3.7 rebounds per game. Clark's putting up all-around superstar numbers while getting mugged on every possession. Paige's efficiency is nice, but so is a Tesla until you try to drive it through a demolition derby. Paige's college resume? No doubt, it's shiny enough to blind you. UConn Final Fours, a national championship, Paige Buckets splashed across headlines.
Right here on ESPN, all eyes and ears will be on the newly crowned champion from Stores, Paige Bueckers.
She basically lived on highlight reels from the second she laced up in Stores. At UConn, she was the golden child. Defenses weren't keying on her every possession, refs weren't letting her get mauled, and she had Hall of Fame level coaching plus All-American teammates to lean on. That's not pressure. That's a luxury suite with free room service. But here's the catch. College hype doesn't always translate. In the W, everyone's good. Everyone's fast. Everyone's mean. It's like going from Mario Kart on 50cc to Rainbow Road on 200cc with no guardrails. At UConn, Paige could float to the rim with grace. In the pros, she's finding out that floating just means getting swatted into the third row. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark had to skip the whole protected college princess phase. The second she walked into the league, she was a target. Opponents weren't giving her any warm-up. They were taking cheap shots like it was open mic night. And she didn't fold. She set records. That's the difference between having a resume and building a legacy. So yeah, Paige's college career was decorated. Impressive? Absolutely. But the WNBA isn't about banners in the rafters at UConn. It's about whether you can handle being hunted every single night. Paige found out quick. The pros don't care about your nickname. They only care if you can survive the gauntlet. So here's the bottom line. Caitlin Clark is still the standard, and Paige Bueckers just learned the hard way what happens when the cameras are on, the defense is physical, and the hype can't protect you. It's not about potential. It's about production. Clark's been producing since day one. Paige is still trying to prove she belongs at that level. But what do you think? Is Paige the future, or just another overhyped name that can't handle the Clark treatment? Drop your take in the comments. I'll be reading and responding. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next wild twist in the WNBA drama. This is Full Court WNBA, where we keep it real, keep it sharp, and keep calling out the storylines nobody else will. Catch you in the next one.